now going to move to our second final round match. Team Austin East, your case for this match is case 2, the Trayvon Martin case against the force. The previously established rules to presenting your side. Shooting death, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman sparked public discussion across America. Almost as soon as the incident was reported, public figures began speculating that Martin potentially sued and gunned down about justification, in part because of his race. Many assumed that this was a clear case of murder, especially when a 911 tape surfaced in which the operator asked Zimmerman to discontinue his pursuit of Martin. On another, George's voice is heard screaming for help, followed by a gunshot. However, at trial, the defense attorneys argued that while Zimmerman had followed Martin touched himself without confrontation, gained a dominant position in the ground struggle and slammed his head on the sidewalk until he was nearly unconscious. In the police video recorded the day after the incident played at trial, Zimmerman claimed that when his holstered handgun was visible during the struggle, Martin reached for the weapon. Fearing that Martin would use it to kill him, he drew it from his holster and shot Martin once in the chest, ending the struggle in a way that felt necessary to protect his life. The question is this: under what circumstances, if any, is it morally permissible to use deadly force against another person? And how does this standard apply to the Martin case? All students, your 2 minutes of deliberation start now. Are up. Your 5 minutes of presentation will start now.
We believe that it is ethical to use deadly force against another person when you feel like your life is at risk, when you are helping someone who is weak, someone who doesn't have the means or the strength to help themselves. We believe that you should only use deadly force as a last resort after all other precautions have been taken. We also believe that when using this deadly force, you have to consider the just war theory and consider the part that talks about proportionality. Therefore, if I am walking if I'm walking at night and someone pulls a knife on me and I have a knife, then I should use a knife. I can't use a gun, because both are deadly weapons. However, if someone pulls a knife on me and all I have is a gun, we feel like I should be able to use the gun just because they both are weapons and I don't have a knife. That's kind of what we mean by proportionality.
Through a last resort, we see that the only way that you should use lethal force is that when you look at last resort, that is if you can't run away, if you cannot hide, if you cannot talk them out of, let's say, mugging you or killing you. When we talk about helping the weak, last year there was a case where a man walked into a barn and he saw a father walked into a barn and he saw his 3-year-old daughter being molested by a grown man. He then pursued to beat him to death, and he beat him to death because he was protecting the weak. If he just walked in there and then just walked away, he would have been not protecting the weak. That little girl would have had probably no way of getting away from that grown man.
We believe that in this situation,
we believe that even though we see that with Trayvon, where George Zimmerman got out of his car, he disobeyed the police's rule, the police telling him what to do, and that he killed Trayvon Martin.
that he followed Trayvon Martin. We do not believe that it was ethical for him to use deadly force. We believe that Zimmerman should have followed the police's orders to stay in his car, to not pursue Martin, and to wait until the police got there. While we do believe that when you feel like your life is in danger, you do have the right to use deadly force. Zimmerman is the one that put himself in danger. Trayvon Martin was not pursuing him, and he said nothing to him. He did not provoke the altercation. Therefore, we do not feel like Zimmerman had the right to use deadly force against Martin.
By saying this, because if George Zimmerman never got out of his car, then none of this would ever happen. See, he's already disobeying last resort. When you think of last resort, you think of, oh, this person is going into this gated community, but the police are telling me not to go. Then I disobey that information and still go and hunt down this person.
We also believe that in terms of proportionality, even if Trayvon Martin did punch George Zimmerman, we believe that it was not, that George Zimmerman's use of a gun or of a deadly weapon was not proportional, because Trayvon Martin only used his hands, which are two things that George Zimmerman definitely did possess. We do not feel like he had to jump straight to using a deadly weapon.
And we feel that if Zimmerman had the right to have a non-lethal weapon, that if you knew he was going into a conflict, he should have carried that non-lethal weapon or something, because he should have assumed the worst by going up to someone and causing a conflict.
1 minute remaining.
Because he couldn't handle the situation. Because he went into something and we feel he didn't have the right things to handle the situation correctly.
He barely met any of the just war criteria by breaking this.
So in conclusion, while we do believe that it is ethical to use lethal force against another person under certain conditions, we do not believe that George Zimmerman met any of these conditions in his pursuit and then attack on Trayvon Martin.
All right, thank you. Very good. 1 minute for deliberation. We'll start now. Your 1 minute is up. Your 5 minutes to respond begin now.
Thank you to opposing counsel for kind of bringing some really great points to discussion. Unfortunately, we kind of disagree on a few different things, so we'll talk about a few of the aspects of the case. Together, our counsel has kind of come up with the opinion, after following a series of logical thoughts, that murder is not justified under any circumstances. One of the main let's just set up a framework for our argument. You know, we can't just make a claim without having some backup for it. Let's follow kind of the rules of context.
lives are more valuable than others to individuals. But really, like you said, if you extend that to the entire population, it's the root of all things. You're kind of promoting this perpetual conflict that does not really have much hope for resolution. And really, you said, also you can look at virtue ethics. We should think that virtuously, diplomacy is always a more healing option than murder. There's a quote that I'm going to butcher. Something along the lines of civilization started not when a man threw a stone, but when he grabbed a pen. So that, really the kind of the central underpinning of a good civilization is that we have an ability to come to some kind of understanding with one another, which is difficult and very, unrealistic to implement on an entire, population basis. But as a rule, we should say that murder is not correct.
I'd also like to add that you guys said that deadly force is morally permissible when life is at risk, but it's only basis on suspicion. You don't actually know if he's going to kill you. So if you do kill him, based on this, life is going to be lost, like absolute. But if you don't do anything, there's still a chance that he's going to kill you. Like you can't know for sure whether he's going to murder you. So you would actually have worse chances of life being lost.
And also, I believe under deontology that one should treat every life with infinite value, whether one's under attack.
So just kind of to sum up our argument, we've kind of disagreed a little bit regarding the issue of self-defense. As a council, we agree that each group of life is worth, infinite value. You can't put a price on that. And we also argued that, in this case, there's a surety in pulling a gun on someone. There's no surety in someone, possibly killing you back in this case. So in sum, we have that murder is not justifiable under any circumstances because under a conscience framework, it simply defends itself.
All right, thank you. Alcinise, your 1 minute for deliberation starts now. Your 1 minute for deliberation is up.
Thank you, Farragut.
Your 3 minutes to respond start now.
Okay.
You're fine.
Thank you, Farragut, for your response. I would just like to refer back to when you said you never really know if someone is going to kill you. When we said that you're putting your life at risk, risk is not based on what's going to happen for sure. Risk is based on something that could happen. I know that if I go to a bar and I drink and I get in my car and I drive, there's a risk that I could kill myself or could kill other people. No, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but we don't know that it's not going to happen. So if my teammate pulls a gun on me, there's a chance that he could kill me. He might not, but he very well may. That's putting my life at risk. You said that murder is never justifiable, and we do agree that murder, for the most part, is not justifiable. However, we do feel that if it meets certain criteria, that murder is definitely justifiable. As we stated before, if it is the last resort, we definitely feel like in order to save your life, that you should go ahead and commit the act of murder.
There's an analogy. So let's say this man captures you and your family, and that you are tied up in his house. You're all locked up. You can't get out. But you get loose. You know this man. He said that he's going to kill you. He has said he's going to kill you. You get loose and find yourself a weapon. If you do not murder him, there is a possibility that you and your family will die. But if you do murder him, you can get out of there, contact the police, go to safety.
In the case of Ashley's example, you would be, by committing murder to this man that has you and your family, that has kidnapped y'all and basically tied y'all up and threatened to murder you. You are satisfying the greatest happiness principle because the needs of the many definitely outweigh the needs of the few. You and your family being the many and the person that has kidnapped you being the few. We definitely believe that under utilitarianism, committing the act of murder in certain conditions is ethical.
1 minute remaining.
And maybe to that example, you could use Kantianism, because if you feel maybe your family is under attack, you have maybe a duty to defend that family and keep them safe.
Making reference to your self-defense remark about the slippery slope and about maybe the next time it was just glancing at the gun, just being close to the gun. We believe that under circumstances like that, no, the act of murder is not justifiable. However, if someone does pull a gun on you, they are threatening you with a lethal weapon, and we do feel that if you can if you have to commit the act of murder to save yourself, then it is definitely justifiable, and that's what you should do. So, in conclusion, we do believe that under certain conditions, committing the act of murder to ensure the safety of others is justifiable.
All right. Thank you very much. We now begin our judges' question period. Judges, you may ask your questions now.
Okay, so your position then is that if it's last resort and it's a proportionate response to the situation, then it's acceptable. And your criteria for last resort, I think, is something you feel your life is at risk, or to help the people without more than things I heard you say. And so when you look at the case as it's given here, it's sort of presented like, at least after he had followed Martin, it looks like he did feel like his life was at risk, right? He thought Martin reached for his handgun, and so at that point, that's when he responded with the use of lethal force, because he felt like that same lethal force was going to be used against him. And so could you explain a little bit more why you think that this situation doesn't meet those criteria?
We believe that this situation is different. First, because Martin, although it was stated that he reached for the handgun, he did not have the handgun in his possession. We believe that because Martin was only using his hands, Zimmerman also had those same weapons, and he should have been using those same weapons in respect to the proportionality part of the just war theory. We do believe that while it is a possibility that Martin reached for the handgun, we're not exactly sure, and we believe that George Zimmerman put his own life in danger by pursuing Martin, by disobeying the police, by getting out of his car, by pursuing Martin. Martin never caused any immediate danger to him until he followed Martin.
Because none of this would happen if Zimmerman never got out of his car.
And also going along with the handgun, he reached for it, but if Zimmerman had the time to grab the handgun and aim it towards his chest, he certainly had the time to grab the handgun and throw it away from the situation.
So, let me follow up on this. Ask the question a different way. So, suppose, maybe it was wrong for Zimmerman to get out of the car. It was wrong of him, let's suppose, to disobey. It wasn't actually a police order. It was a dispatcher's order, which is not really the same as the police. But maybe it was wrong for him to disobey her order. It was wrong for him maybe to provoke Martin, right? So all these things are we can agree wrong. But now here he is in the moment. And suppose, this is a different case, but suppose that Martin actually pulled a gun on him, right? Now he got himself into that situation, but now here I am. Why is the fact that I did something wrong 3 minutes ago now cause for me not to be able to defend myself? Should I be able to defend myself and shoot him if I feel like it?
That's a different case because Martin, in your scenario, Martin pulled a handgun on him. In the case, Martin did not even possess a handgun. So
forget about the Martin thing. So in my hypothetical case,
in your hypothetical case,
you all seem to be saying that I am not justified in self-defense if I got myself into the quandary. But I'm saying, well, suppose I do get myself into the quandary. Yeah, I was wrong, but now you're telling me I can't defend myself? It's my fault I'm here.
Well, we stated that proportionality, that if you have a handgun and they pull the handgun on you, then you have that right to pull the handgun. But that's under proportionality. Now let's say he put a knife on him and and you had a gun and a knife, then you should reach for the knife instead of the gun in that situation.
I believe, as Ali said, I believe that the differences, and trying not to make reference to the case, but I believe that the differences in your hypothetical situation and the case are just the fact that it was the proportionality was not there.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of a two-part question. You guys asked a couple of questions about like your application, the application of your view to the Mark case. I kind of want to ask something about the view in general. Fear is a kind of finicky thing. Fear for one's life causes us to do strange things, yes, that we normally would not do. First, the first part, how would you respond to a critic that says, okay, well, it's kind of funny for something so substantive as a right to take another's life to be founded on something as finicky and unquantifiable as fear for one's own life or something like that. And in addition, does that right granted by this kind of fear for one's life dialectic, then trump another seeming like what we might take to be like right to life or something like that? Does that make sense?
Can you rephrase it? 'Cause I'm a little
Which part?
confused.
Like, are you saying that fear and, like, the fear that you're going to die and the fear?
Okay, fear is finicky. Yes, it causes us to do strange things. Is that a problem? Like, if I were to say that's a problem, how do you respond? And second, does the fact that this right is so constituted by fear, does that have any effect on its, like, it seems as though, like, if a person has a right to life, you say that this right granted by this fear mechanism then kind of holds over a trump card to this person's right to continued existence or right to bodily health or whatever. My question is, like, if this right is so problematically constituted, is it a trump card? Do you really have a right?
The right to fear or the right to take someone's life?
The right to take someone's life because of fear. Does that make sense?
The first part with fear is that fear is a very broad, general. A lot of people have different fears. Like, I'm just going to use you as an example. Let's say I'm afraid of you, and I have no reason to. And I'm just paranoid or afraid that you're going to pull a gun on me. And I have no gun on me, and I shoot you. No, I said, sorry, I have a gun, you don't. And I shoot you. That's the fear part. A lot of people have different fears.
I was about to say, being a female, when I could be walking along at night and see, I'm sorry, I'm just going to use you again. I could see you walking too, and I could just be afraid that maybe you're going to do something to me, and I attack you. I was afraid. I might not have had a reason to be, but fear caused me to attack you. I'm not even going to say kill you, but attack you. But I don't feel like my fear justified my attack.
But that was your argument. Right. So in your fear of your own life being taken justifies, you said, your right to defend yourself and take the life of the other person. Your obligation.
If it meets the other criteria.
If it meets the just war criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Under the just war, the proportionality, the last resort, it has to meet.
So the case in which I'm hypothetically stalking you in a parking lot, that doesn't meet the just war criteria.
No.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up related question? I understand it's cruel. Deadly force can be justified if a person feels like his or her life is in danger. I wonder if there's a dangerous subjectivity there. So suppose I'm standing next to somebody and I look at them and I reach into my pocket just to produce myself, but they are very nervous, more nervous than the average person, and they think I'm reaching for a gun, so they will shoot me. That person it's not lying, that person is genuinely fearful in that case, but they're just a very nervous person. Does that mean that they therefore have the right to kill you? Just because they're more nervous, as it were, than the average person.
feel that in that case, it would not been ethical to shoot him because of you have not confirmed that he has a weapon yet. You may be jittery and everything, but maybe to get your gun ready or your weapon, whatever weapon you have, ready, and then if you see some type of visual confirmation that it is truly a weapon, then maybe at least attempt to pull it on them, pull your weapon out to hold, as a kind of a scare away tactic. Maybe not to necessarily kill him, but try to back him up and then diffuse the situation before it got started. Unless he continues and tries to attack, then that would just under proportionality and last resort
and
to
last
kill him.
resort, because if I'm standing right next to my teammate and I see they pull a gun, I could. There's a probability that if they pull this gun on me, and I'm standing right next to them, there's a possibility that I can get this gun. But if they pull a phone on me and I'm the nervous person, I'm probably going to defuse. Do you see where it goes into last resort?
All right, we're pretty much out of time. 4 seconds. Thank you both very much. That's the end of this final round match, and that is the end of the 2014 Tennessee High School Epic Sport Championship final round.